Hello everyone. Welcome to our channel, where people shared their inspirational near-death experiences on the other side and came back to life. Today, Jack's story was about when he was a child who lived with a monster that led to Jack's encounter with his grandmother. Now, sit back, relax and let's dive in. Jack was a 10-year-old boy who lived with his mom and her boyfriend, Mike. His parents had divorced when he was young, and since then, he had seen his dad only occasionally. Jack loved his mom, but he hated Mike, who was always yelling at him and hitting him for no reason. Mike was an abusive man who had a drinking problem and a quick temper. He would often come home drunk and take out his anger on Jack, who he saw as an easy target. He would hit him with his belt, slap him, or throw him against the wall. He would also insult him and call him names, telling him he was useless and worthless. Jack's mom, Karen, was aware of Mike's behavior, but she felt trapped. She had nowhere else to go, and she was financially dependent on him. She worked long hours as a nurse, and when she came home, she was often too tired to intervene. She would tell Jack to stay in his room and not to provoke Mike, hoping that he would calm down on his own. But things got worse over time. Mike became more violent and unpredictable, and he would often deprive Jack of food and water for days. He would lock him in his room, or in the basement, and tell him he deserved it. He would also threaten him, telling him he would kill him if he ever told anyone. Jack felt scared and alone. He didn't know who to turn to, and he felt like nobody cared about him. He missed his dad, who he saw as a hero, but he didn't want to bother him with his problems. He felt like he was living in a nightmare, and he wished he could escape. One day, things took a turn for the worse. Mike had been drinking heavily, and he was in a foul mood. He had lost his job, and he blamed Karen and Jack for his misfortune. He had been screaming and cursing all day, and he had taken out his rage on Jack, hitting him repeatedly with his belt. Jack had tried to defend himself, but he was weak and hungry, and he couldn't fight back. He had curled up on the floor, trying to shield himself from the blows, but Mike wouldn't stop. He seemed to be enjoying the pain he was inflicting, and he laughed and taunted Jack, telling him he was a wimp. At some point, Jack couldn't take it anymore. He felt like he was going to die, and he wished he could escape. Suddenly, he felt a strange sensation, as if he was leaving his body. He saw himself floating up towards the ceiling, and he felt a sense of peace and warmth enveloping him. He realized he was in heaven. In front of him, he saw his grandmother, who had passed away a few years ago. She had been a kind and loving person, and Jack had always felt close to her. She smiled at him and said, "Jack, my dear grandson, it's so good to see you again. I'm so sorry for what you've been through." Jack was overjoyed to see his grandmother again, but he felt torn. He wanted to stay with her in heaven, where he felt safe and loved, but he also felt a strong sense of duty towards his mother, who had always been there for him. "I can take you with me, Jack," his grandmother said gently. "You don't have to go back to that place. You can stay here with me, where you'll be happy and at peace." But Jack hesitated. "Grandma, I want to come back. I want to save my mom. She needs me." His grandmother nodded, understanding. "Jack, I'm proud of you," his grandmother said, smiling. "You're a brave boy, and you have a kind heart. But you need to know that it won't be easy. The road ahead will be long and hard, and you'll face many challenges. But you won't be alone. You'll have help, and you'll find strength within yourself. Do you understand?" Jack nodded, feeling a sense of determination. "Yes, Grandma. I'll do it. I'll come back." His grandmother hugged him, holding him close. "I love you, Jack. You're my special boy. Remember that." Jack felt a tear roll down his cheek. "I love you too, Grandma. Thank you for everything." Suddenly, he felt a strong wind blowing, and he saw a bright light surrounding him. He heard his grandmother's voice saying, "Go, Jack. Go back to your life. I'll be watching over you." And then he woke up. He was lying on the floor, surrounded by darkness. He felt a sharp pain in his ribs, and his head was spinning. He tried to get up, but he couldn't. He felt weak and dizzy, and he realized he was still in danger. He heard Mike snoring in the other room, and he knew he had to act fast. He crawled towards the door, trying not to make any noise. He felt like he was going to pass out, but he forced himself to keep going. He reached the door and tried to open it, but it was locked. He felt a surge of panic, but then he remembered something. Mike always kept a spare key in the kitchen, in a drawer. He had seen it once, when he had sneaked out to get a glass of water. He dragged himself towards the kitchen, feeling every step like 1,000 needles. He reached the drawer and found the key. He tried to stand up, but he couldn't. He realized he was too weak to walk. He crawled towards the living room, where the phone was. He picked it up and dialed 911, his voice barely audible. He whispered his name and address, and then he collapsed. He woke up in the hospital, surrounded by machines and tubes. He felt a sharp pain in his chest, and he realized he had broken ribs. He saw his mom crying next to him, and he felt a sense of relief. He had saved her. "Jack, my dear Jack," his mom whispered, holding his hand. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything." Jack looked at her, feeling a mix of love and sadness. He wanted to forgive her, but he also felt angry and betrayed. He didn't say anything, just closed his eyes. He stayed in the hospital for a few days, recovering from his injuries. He was visited by his dad, who had come to see him as soon as he heard the news. His dad hugged him and told him he was proud of him, and Jack felt a sense of comfort. But he also felt a sense of guilt. He had caused so much trouble, and he had put his mom in danger. He didn't know how to make it up to her. When he was released from the hospital, he went back to his mom's house, but he felt like a stranger. Everything looked different, and he felt like he didn't belong there anymore. He felt like he had lost a part of himself, and he didn't know how to get it back. His mom had broken up with Mike, and he was in jail. Jack had to testify in court, and he had to relive the horrors of his past. He felt like he was being punished, and he didn't understand why he had to go through all of this. But he also knew that it was necessary, that justice needed to be served. Slowly but surely, Jack started to heal. He went to therapy, and he talked about his feelings and his experiences. He learned that he was not alone, that there were other kids who had gone through similar things, and that it was okay to ask for help. He also learned that he was strong, that he had survived something that could have killed him, and that he had a purpose. He realized that he wanted to help other kids who were going through the same things he had gone through, to be a voice for them, to give them hope. He started volunteering at a local shelter for abused children, and he found a sense of fulfillment. He saw himself in those kids, and he knew that he could make a difference. He started writing a blog, where he shared his story and his thoughts, and he received messages from people who were inspired by him. He went back to school, and he found new friends, who accepted him for who he was. He joined a drama club, and he discovered a talent for acting. He played the lead role in the school play, and he received a standing ovation. He felt like he had a second chance, and he was determined to make the most of it. He wanted to make his grandmother proud, to show her that he was capable of great things. Jack never forgot his past, and he never forgot his grandmother. He knew that she was watching over him, and he felt her presence in his life. He visited her grave, and he talked to her, and he felt a sense of peace. Years went by, and Jack grew up. He went to college, where he studied psychology, and he became a counselor for abused children. He met a girl, who was kind and loving, and he fell in love with her. They got married, and they had children of their own, whom they loved dearly. That is today's story. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and turn on your notification to receive the latest NDE story from our channel. May God bless you all. May God bless you.